from snow to a political storm. Charlie Gasparino first reported on this program that New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is weighing a run for the White House. That is exactly what's happening. He told us that about a week and a half ago. The billionaire reportedly instructing his advisors to draw up plans for an independent run for the Oval Office. Joining us right now, Republican strategist and Fox News contributor Ed Rollins. Ed, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So you worked on Ross Perot's third-party run. Is it too late at this point for Mike Bloomberg to get in, or what do you think?
The difference between Perot and Bloomberg is in 1992, there was a great demand for an outsider, and he fit that mode as Trump has in this environment. Mike Bloomberg's the establishment candidate, and obviously a guy that's a very successful former mayor, a billionaire, what have you, can't run as an outsider, can't basically tap into that angst that's out there.
Yeah.
Can he take his $1 billion and spend it and clean up Washington, D.C., which would be a very positive thing, or can he basically go out and try and run a campaign against other people who will be spending $1 billion, a Democrat and a Republican? I don't think he really has a chance. I think it's going to be very hard to get 270 electoral votes is what you need. 40 of the states since 2000 have voted exactly the same, Republican or Democrat. So there's only about 10 states where you'd have any kind of a shot to try and put, and those are the swing states. I just don't see him putting it together.
Yeah, I think it was interesting the way the way Bernie Sanders called them both oligarchs. So, Donald Trump and Michael Bloomberg, America doesn't want these oligarchs. I mean, he's sort of going to the billionaire.
Well, the billionaire, I mean, the interesting thing about Trump is projected a different image. I'm a billionaire and I'm the richest guy on the stage, what have you, and I'm pretty and all the rest of it. But Mike obviously has taken great enjoyment out of being a billionaire, the richest man in New York, one of the richest in the country, and has had great success. But he is the epitome of what Trump and everybody else is running against. The Wall Street, the
Why make the announcement now, Ed?
Well, I think he has to. I think if he really wants to basically, I think Mike has wanted to do this. He talked to me 6 years ago at the end of my meeting. I said, you can't get 270 electoral votes. And he said, well, why should I move forward? I said, that's your prerogative to move forward. You can't get it's not a plurality of voters. It's how do you basically get electoral votes? And there's just no real.
So when did he speak to you about this?
This was when he thought about running 4 years ago,
okay.
5 years ago.
But couldn't you argue that this environment right now is more ripe for an independent candidate than it has been at least since 2008, right? The percentage of voters right now who say they're independent is about 40%. So does he see that opening?
Well, the truth of the matter is a plurality of voters in America do say they're independent, but there's a tendency of 90% of them to vote for one party or the other. They don't bounce back and forth. We really have about 10% of the electorate that truly is independent, makes up their mind very late. So it's misleading when you see those kinds of numbers. At the end of the day here, Trump has captured a lot of that, and this is an angry electorate, not basically electorate.
If he ran, who would it hurt more? Let's say, because if Hillary Clinton gets the nomination, maybe he doesn't run, but if it's Bernie Sanders, he's Bloomberg's socially liberal, but appeals to people who don't want to get taxed above their eyebrows.
If Bernie Sanders is the nominee of the Democratic Party, Ronald Reagan's record of winning 49 states and the most electoral will be in jeopardy. I promise you that. He's not going to be the nominee of this party. He may very well beat her in Iowa. He may very well beat her. Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
He may very well beat her in New Hampshire, but the Democratic Party is not a party that's going to go turn to the one socialist in the Congress.
You explain how the Electoral College works, because, all of these polls showing Donald Trump in the lead, you're talking about the popular vote, right? But when it comes down to actually winning a general election, you're talking about the Electoral College.
The way the Electoral College works is you get one electoral vote for each congressman in a state. So if you're a state with 3 congressmen and 2 senators, you get 5 electoral votes. You have to have 270 to win. And so the vast majority, the Democrats begin with an advantage. They have 18 states in the District of Columbia that gives them 242, and they have the last 5 elections. That's the way it's been. So they don't have very many that they have to get to win. For us to win, we basically have to win Florida, we have to win Ohio, and we have to win 3 or 4 of those targeted states. And the rest of it it's why we don't have national campaigns anymore. We have states that are in 8 or 10, and the roadmap will be exactly the same. It's exactly the same when Bush won twice. It's exactly the same with Obama winning twice. I think that, to your question, I think he hurts Hillary because Hillary basically needs every vote she can get, and the worry I would have if I was running her campaign is young voters in particular are attracted to Sanders for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And how they get them back in is going to be very important because Obama won by the young vote.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Mayor Bloomberg doesn't strike me as a guy that likes doing things without being successful, and so it doesn't look like there's a path for him to win the presidency, Ed. So why make the press release why bring this forward now?
I think it's an intellectual game. I think he's wanted to do. I think he's bored. I think he obviously enjoyed being mayor of the city for 12 years. I think he's got his company back where he wants it again. And I think he's 73 years old and he wants to do something dramatic. He sees the chaos that's occurring, and I'm sure every single day at every dinner party he goes to in New York or elsewhere, people say,
People are saying things to him.
Mike, you should run. You're the kind of guy. None of those people basically understand American politics, though.
Do you think it's feasible?
Wow, interesting.
I guess you answered my question. It's not feasible for him to actually get to those 270 electoral votes.
It is not
He'd
feasible.
have to capture every single swing state and probably take a fair share from the
If he took
Democrats.
every swing state, he'd have 130. Then he's got to take away, to get another 140, he has to take away from solid Democrat. Let me just tell you this. Republican Party is a Southern party. Do you think a guy that's advocating gun control as much as he is going to win any of those Southern states?
Or a ban on big sodas. That'll hurt him.
Or, you know,
Ed,
No,
how
I'm
did
serious.
Ronald
People
Reagan win?
hate
I don't know
the
anybody
nanny
that
state.
voted for him. Remember that expression? How did Ronald Reagan win? I don't know anybody that voted for him. Do you remember that from 1980?
I remember that. I remember a lot of them, a lot more that voted for him in 1984 when he won one of the largest. Everybody voted for Ronald Reagan.
And
today.
real quick,
Elitist, you know?
we got Rand Paul coming up. What do you want to hear from Rand Paul today?
Well, Rand Paul's on life support, and I think to a certain extent he's the isolationist candidate. Why has his campaign sort of faltered? His father had a much better campaign last time. His father actually won the majority of delegates coming out of the straw poll. Did not win the day of the straw poll, but won the delegates coming out of Iowa. How does he think he's going to do at this point in time?
All right, we'll talk with him about that. Ed, good to see you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Ed Rollins joining us there. Word